It is a sport that often, brings out multifaceted personalities. There are all athletes that do a lot of things, and in today we have someone who's just done commentary, who's doing a master's in sports directorship, and who's also a famous podcaster. And she also bowls a little bit of fast bowling for England as well. Kate Cross, thank you so much for your time and taking your time to talk to the New Indian Express. Welcome to our show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. That was a lovely introduction.
Yes, so you are in India for the Women's T20 Challenge. So in Pune, how has it been, being a part of this tournament, hanging out with the group that's there with you?
Yeah, it's been brilliant so far. I was a bit nervous coming over actually because I've only ever toured India with an England team. So to come on my own, it was quite daunting, I guess. So but it's been absolutely fantastic. It's so far exceeded my expectations. I've been looked after so well. The girls are so lovely. We obviously have a bit of a language barrier sometimes. They speak a lot of Hindi and I don't speak any Hindi. But they've all been really welcoming and tried to teach me as much of their language as they can. It's a slow process, but it's been a really enjoyable one so far.
Are you kind of disappointed that you're not in the same team as Harman?
I was hoping I might be in the same team as her. Obviously, I've had the luxury of playing with Harman for 4 years back in England now. And we have such a good friendship. It's been really nice to see her. Unfortunately, our training times don't work out, so I've not spent much time with her away from cricket. But yeah, it means now I get to bowl at her though, which is always a nice challenge as well.
Obviously, your team has a new captain. There is no Mithali Raj and Julian Goswami in this edition. Deepti Sharma, you have watched her, as an opponent rival through the course of the years. What is your impression of her as a player and as a captain in the last couple of sessions, 2-3 sessions that you had with the team?
Yeah, she's been really relaxed so far, which I think is, as a new captain, you can sometimes feel like you have to do lots of things. And I think Deepti feels like when it gets to game day, that's when she'll be able to almost take over. And she's kind of left it to the coach so far, which I think is quite a good place to be as a captain. But I was saying to her the other day at training that Deepti is one of those players who really gets on my nerves. So she always scores runs against me. There's been many times in either the Kia Super League or the 100 last year where she finished games off and won games for the team that we were playing against. So it's nice that I'm getting to play in her team now and don't have to worry about bowling against her. But she's a brilliant all-round talent. And you have so much talent in India, in Indian women's cricket. It's hopefully going to be an exciting week of cricket, and there'll be a good showcase of what we as women can do.
But you could give yourself credit, for getting better off her in the World Cup with that direct hit.
She brought that up as well. She said she remembers it, which is nice because now she'll put me in the good fielding positions, hopefully, because she thinks I'm a good fielder.
Also, is there any, kind of snippet of sorts, something that, she shared with the team or what she has spoken about as a captain? How, because it's a very short tournament, you just get to play 3 games at best. So what is the kind of conversation that has had at what you're trying to accomplish as a group?
Yeah, I think that's sometimes what is difficult in franchise cricket, especially because you get thrown into a team and you all have the common language of cricket, which is great. And everyone has got to this point by being good at what they do. So that's something that we need to remember as a team. But we've just spoken about what we can control really in that department. Cricket is quite it's quite fickle, I guess. You can bowl your good ball and it still goes for 4 or 6, or you can snick off and that's you done as a batter. So I think as a fielding unit, we've spoken a lot about our energy and our attitude and how we're going to go about that side of the game. But we've only so far had 2 real training sessions, and then we have 1 more and then we play on Tuesday. So it is very quick. We're going to have to react quite quickly to what we have in front of us.
It must be a really relaxing feeling having Kiran Navgire and Shafali Verma in your team rather than the opponents.
Exactly, yeah. Shafali, obviously I've come up against Shafali before and she's done a lot of damage, especially in that test match that we played in Bristol. But Kiran has been, I watched her in the nets the other day and I was fascinated by how hard and how powerfully she can hit the ball. I'm so excited to see what these girls can do when they go out on the big stage. I've heard about the T20 tournament they've been playing in and the runs they've scored and the wickets they've taken, but it's going to be great to hopefully see them light up the stadium on Tuesday in Pune.
Let's roll back a few months in time. You had a roller coaster of a ride with the Ashes and the World Cup. Looking back from where you are right now, if you could sum it up, how this whole last 6 months have panned out.
Yeah, it was really difficult actually. We had a big tour. We've not normally been away from home for more than 5 or 6 weeks, and we were away for close to 13, I think. So it was a big trip. So we had that to contend with, as well as not winning many games of cricket for the pretty much first 3/4 of our tour. So it was tough, but I think what I was most proud of with our team was that we found a way of coming back from that, and we showed a lot of resilience. And it was the game against India in the World Cup that turned our fortunes around. And I don't know if you watched that game, but I just felt like we looked like a different team. We looked more positive and we fielded better. We took our catches. So yeah, it was. Cricket is it's a difficult sport sometimes because it doesn't always go your way. You can put all the time and effort in, and like I said, you could get a good ball and that's your day over as a batter. So it can be a tough sport when it's not going your way. But I think the fact that we found a way of being able to come away from that trip with something, it wasn't the trophy that we wanted, but we were able to obviously get to that final and inspire people to never give up.
Before talking more about the World Cup, just wanted to ask about that, the Test match, the final hour, how it all panned out. You in the middle of the things, but with the bat and not with the ball.
Yeah, that was again, it was something that's the scenario that you play out in the back garden as a kid. You have to defend the last ball or not get out in the last over. But I was probably the most calm that I've ever been with a bat because I just knew that I couldn't get out. It was really simple. I think if I'd have had to score runs, I'd have been a lot more nervous. Sophie Eccleston was so much more nervous than me. She had her eyes shut at the other end. She said she couldn't watch the final ball. But that's why we play sport, for those moments, those really high pressure moments. And it was, there's some fantastic photos of all the fielders around the bat. But yeah, it was a shame because I think we got ourselves into a position to win that Test match, and then obviously we didn't get over the line, but we gave it a really good go, which I thought was quite impressive.
As one of the things that you said during the World Cup was that England were finding ways to lose, from the position of strength, and something clicked from the India game, and they were finding ways to win the New Zealand game. Again, it might not have gone as close as it should have, but still, that game once again with Frankie McKay doing what she does best. What was the feeling in the dressing room the last few moments, because that was a knockout for both the teams?
Yeah, so I mean, we were playing semi-final cricket, knockout cricket from game 4 of the tournament, so we got ourselves into a bit of a tight situation. But that watching those final couple of runs get scored in that New Zealand game were some of the worst moments I've had. My anxiety, my heart rate, I felt sick. It was so unpleasant to watch, because in that moment we could have been knocked out of the World Cup and everything that we had worked for over the last 5 years because of the fact that the tournament got postponed. That could have all been gone in one ball, which was quite a scary thought. But Anya has been there and done it and got the T-shirt many, many times. And I don't think I'd have wanted anyone else out there at that time, because she was also able to calm Charlie Dean down, who is quite young and new to international cricket. So I think that combination worked quite well. But yeah, it was a horrible moment in the dugout because you couldn't help, you couldn't impact. I'd had my chance to do it and I'd got out. So yeah, it was not pleasant. I hope I'm not in many more situations like that.
That after that game, semi-final was a bit of a good win going into the final. What were you feeling on the morning of the final, because you were watching the previous edition when England won the World Cup from the stands, and here you are just a few hours away from having an opportunity to hold the trophy in hand. In fact, you did hold the trophy in hand in that Auckland Bridge, if I'm not, and as a part of the England representative, but still, just a few hours away from having an opportunity to win the World Cup. What was that?
Well, first of all, that photo shoot, no one would hold the trophy. So Amelia Kerr was there, Darcy Brown and Mitali was there, and no one would touch it. I think they thought it was bad luck. So because we had the trophy, it was ours. I said I would hold it, even though I didn't lift it in 2017. I wasn't in that team, so it did feel a bit strange. But the whole tournament for me was quite strange because the most nervous I was for a game was actually the opener against Australia. I'd never played in a World Cup. And then when you start singing the anthems and you see the crowd and it all, that was when it really felt like I was playing in a World Cup. But the final to me just felt like another game, which was, I think, a good thing. It felt like I'd slept quite well. Sometimes I don't sleep thinking about cricket too much. So it was good that I'd slept. And I just think we wanted as a team to carry on playing good cricket, which is what we had started to do from that India match. And I think we actually played our best cricket in the semi-final against South Africa, who were a really tough team to beat. Actually, they had a great group stage. They'd been winning the close matches, which is a dangerous team because they, opposite to us, they had found ways to win. So I think going up against the best team in the world was always going to be difficult. I don't think in my head I had it panned out that they'd score that many runs. I didn't actually think we bowled too badly on the day either. I just think that Alyssa Healy had a fantastic day out, and yeah, she was unstoppable at times. I was bowling leg stump Yorkers to her. She was hitting me over extra cover. It's when someone's playing like that, they're just almost unstoppable. So I think we can probably, it's still a bit raw. It still feels like it was quite recent, even though it was a few months ago now. But I think eventually we'll be able to take a step back and see that, we did so well to get to the final and we did give it a good go. It was just, we're just up against a team that is pretty unbeatable, as they've shown in the last 4 or 5 years in their form.
I also wanted to ask about the photo that you mentioned because before the final or during the World Cup, you spoke about how you didn't want to hold the trophy and take a picture after England had won because you were not a part of it and you didn't earn it, and that now you have earned this chance. How was that, holding the trophy when you were holding it at that point in time?
It did feel a bit like I was cheating. It felt like an easy way to get hold of the trophy, but it was just one of those. If no one else held it, then what were we going to do? So I just said that I would do it, and it made sense as England were the trophy holders. But at the moment back in 2017 when I got offered to have a picture with the trophy, felt a bit like I was a fan. It felt like I'd almost won the opportunity to be in that dressing room, and it didn't quite feel right. So it definitely felt more right this time that I was in the squad and playing, and hopefully had the opportunity to lift it as being part of the team. So but yeah, it was a bit of a strange one because Amelia Kerr was actually the most superstitious. She wouldn't go anywhere near it. So it was just one of those things that I just had to suck up and do.
Would you trade anything else in your career so far to win that match on April 3rd?
No, I wouldn't trade anything because I think my career it's been something that's been quite hard. I've certainly the first half of it, I struggled quite a lot. And then I feel like I've worked really hard to be able to enjoy the moments that I'm having now, especially last summer that I had. I loved playing for England and I felt like I had a really good impact and helped the team to win a lot of games. But I do have moments where, and this is where professional sport is, well, any sport is difficult because you always think, what if those catches had been taken, or if someone had a partnership with Nat and, we might have been able to get over the line. But I think things happen for a reason. And hopefully I'm going to, strive to be in that 2025 World Cup team and work hard, and hopefully we can come back as a better team and try and win that. So I think if anything, it's just driven my aspirations and, made me want to be a better cricketer.
I want to share a screen and show you a photograph and ask about it, if I may.
I know which photo it is. I can't see it, but I know which photo it is.
Yeah. So you've always spoken about, being basic in most of your podcasts and hitting that boring lens time and again. That kind of consistency, how does you work it out like that?
Yeah, I remember seeing that on the big screen when we played at Wellington against, I think it was against Bangladesh. I remember Sophie actually was fielding at mid-off and I was bowling. She said, look at that. But that's, as a bowler, that's well, it's my bread and butter. It's what I train and train and train to be able to do that consistently. And I've been in thousands of meetings about how you get batters out and what a good ball is. And we always, as a bowling unit, say that the top of off stump is a good ball. So I think that probably that picture actually sums up maybe my last 3 years of training. I've been working really hard on my action to be more consistent, and to be able to bowl the middle overs and just be boring, just try and build pressure. I think that's where we've been successful as an England team, is myself and Sophie have been able to build dot balls and almost force batters to make decisions and play shots that they might not want to do because there's scoreboard pressure. So yeah, that photo in a way just kind of sums up the hard work that I've put into my training over the last couple of years.
And it did reflect in the numbers, 46 wickets. Sophie existent probably, picked you up in the 6 for in the semi-final, but she's in 53 wickets since 2019. We have 46, second leading wicket taker. Is there a better first change bowler in world cricket at the moment than you?
I'm sure there probably is. Yeah, it's strange because I don't look at numbers or look at stats or anything like that. I try as much as possible to think about the game that I'm playing in and how best I can impact it for England or for whichever team I'm playing for. So it's been quite strange for me to see these kind of plaudits on Twitter, and you get tagged in things, and in a way it's kind of put a bit more pressure on me, because then suddenly you have to go out and take wickets. I think that's something that I've learned. I'm 30 years old now. I've played lots of cricket, but I think I used to worry about how many wickets I took, and now I think about the process. So if I could bowl 60 dot balls in a game, and Sophie could take 7 for, and I've done my job. The day that I had against India at Taunton was a bit of a anomaly, because it's not me normally that takes the 5 fers. It's normally my job to build the pressure for the person at the other end. So it was obviously great to have that day, but that's not a normal day for me, So yeah, I'm sure there will be better bowlers than me out there, but I think the thing that I've concentrated so much on has just been my consistency and being able to be fit enough to bowl those overs and bowl into the wind or up the hill or whatever it may be that the team needs.
Strong advocate of mental health awareness in sport, and as someone who has not gotten consistent opportunities at your peak, how do you get through that phase? Because there are so many cricketers across the world in India at the peak of their powers, not getting consistent opportunities. You during the World Cup, you spoke about doing it for the little girl who picked up the ball when she was 10. But from where you are right now at your career, if you could throw some light on how you keep yourself going when you're not getting opportunities.
It is really difficult. That's the thing that I struggled the most with throughout my career. And I think it's your inner drive, really. I think ultimately there's so many moments where I've sat down with my mum and dad and said that I can't do this anymore. It's too hard. I'm not getting opportunities. I feel like I'm putting so much time and effort into my training, and then that, you don't get the chance to go and play and have the good moments. And that is mentally and physically and emotionally very draining. But I think it's about having a really good support network around you. If I didn't have my family there to support me, I'm sure I wouldn't be sat here in this room today, because they really encouraged me to go and do what I love doing ultimately. And I love playing cricket. And that was what I was trying to get at on the podcast was, forget the stage, forget the moment, but you were a little girl who once wanted to play in a World Cup, and you're getting the opportunity now. So remember like how you got to that point. But I remember I've had so many moments where I think if I gave up now, I'd always think, what if I'd just done another year? And actually, quite ironically, that happened in 2019 after we came out of our first COVID bubble in the UK. We played against West Indies and we were at Derby, and the World Cup had been postponed. We were supposed to be going over to New Zealand in the February, and it got moved to the following year. And I said to mum and dad, I can't do another year. And they just said to me, they said, just see out your contract, at least then financially you're going to be stable for another 6 months. And that was me what if I just played for another year? And it happened to be that year was the best that I've had in an England shirt, the most fun I've had, the most relaxed I've been. So yeah, I think everyone says, if you quit once, you'll quit twice. So, I've not done that yet. So, yeah, I think it's just having that inner drive to keep going as well and to try and be the best version and best cricketer that you can be.
And that year did happen, the first inaugural edition of the 100. You're here for the Women's T20 Challenge, there is WBBL. How much is these tournaments are important in women's cricket, especially to help players grow and get opportunities to show at the big level?
Yeah, they're huge. They really, really are. And, we've been crying out for a women's IPL for a few years now. And hopefully there's been, a lot of rumours that is going to happen next year. I'd just love to see it, because even coming into this environment and seeing some of the younger girls and how they train and how they can hit the ball and how they bowl, there's so much talent. And it's such a shame that people can't see that. Everyone knows who Smriti Mandhana is and who Harmanpreet Kaur is, but there's so many more people who need unearthing and need the opportunity to show what they can do. Very similar to the men's IPL. There's so many people, so many male players who've come through and had an opportunity to play for India because of the IPL. And that just goes to show how good these tournaments are, because they, first and foremost, they put you under pressure, which we haven't really had a lot of in women's cricket. We didn't play enough for it to be too pressurized. So yeah, it's so important for our development and our learning as cricketers that we're under that pressure. And the 100 was very similar. We found a lot of young talent in that as well. So yeah, I think it's just brilliant. And we're obviously seeing these tournaments pop up around the world now, and the more that we can play in them, then the better that is.
As I spoke about in the intro, we are doing a master's in sports directorship. You've done commentary as well. What do you look yourself doing? I hope the day is far, far away, but what do you look at yourself doing after your career?
I do love the media. I love doing the commentary. I've really enjoyed that side of it. And I think in a way it's made me think about cricket differently, because you have to analyze on the spot and you see everything almost from a bird's eye point of view. So I think doing the commentary through the 100 helped my captaincy as well, because I was able to feed off other captains and see what they did. So maybe a couple of years of that. But then the reason that I did the masters in sports directorship was because so many people women of my generation, and maybe even the generation below, had to be the first girl to do something. And they had to break down a lot of barriers and find a way to, I guess, pave their way to play international cricket. So the reason that I was doing the Masters was because I don't want girls to have that journey that I had. I want them to have a really simple, fun, easy journey that is, clear for them. They know that if they do X, Y, and Z, they'll be able to play for the Manchester Originals or whoever that might be. So that's the reason that I'm doing it. So maybe one day I'll be able to implement all of that behind the scenes. Everyone seems to go into coaching once they've finished playing cricket, but I don't think I've got the patience to be a coach. So I thought if I could make decisions behind the scenes, that would suit me more.
Obviously, that's going to be a long time away. We have Commonwealth Games coming up. There is a T20 World Cup, and ODI World Cup is just 3 years away. So, how do you look yourself, especially for the next 8 months or so, which is a very packed calendar of sorts?
Yeah, it really is. And it's so exciting. That's what I was just saying. We want to play more cricket and more high pressure cricket and challenge ourselves. And we've got 8 months ahead of us. Well, really, it doesn't stop now. You think there is always something, an ICC tournament or hopefully the WIPL or whatever it might be around the corner. But I think for me personally, sometimes I can think too much about the bigger picture. I've just got to concentrate on these next 2 games that are ahead of me. Hopefully there will be 3 games if we can make the final. And then once I get back home, I'll concentrate on thinking about the test match and us playing against South Africa this summer. So I think if I break it down and just think about the very immediate future, then I'm a better player, because as soon as I start thinking about World Cups in 2025, then it all gets a bit too overwhelming for me. So that's something else that I've learned as well. You can't wish anything away. You've got to you get one opportunity to be a professional sports person, and you want to enjoy every moment of it.
We all know your love for Chennai Super Kings. If hopefully if the women's IPL gets started next year, where would you want to be? Chepak or some other team?
Yeah, I think I would obviously love to be at the Chepak and play there and go. I've never been to Chennai, so I'd love to go and visit Chennai. I don't actually know what the rumours are around which teams would have a women's team. But hopefully, if CSK could have a women's team, that would be fantastic. I know that I know Smithy also wants to play for them. So if Smithy was my captain, I'd be very, very happy with that. But I think again, it's a long time away. I've got to make sure I perform to be able to. I can't just come and play for CSK because I'm a big fan. I've got to be able to be good at cricket as well. So hopefully, I've got the opportunity in the next couple of days to prove myself, and yeah, maybe get the opportunity next year if it came up.
It would be a crime if I did not ask this. MS Dhoni obviously confirmed that he will be playing in Chennai next year to at least say goodbye to the fans. Can we expect you here to watch the match if you're free?
I would love to. Honestly, I would love to come and watch. I remember going to a game at the Wankhede Stadium a few years ago when we were here on tour. And it was just such a fantastic atmosphere. The IPL is something that's very special in India, and I asked someone the other day which team they support, and they said they don't have a team, and that's the first time I've ever known an Indian person not support an IPL team. But yeah, I would love to come to Chennai, and I actually thought MS's speech about how he almost owes it to play in front of his home crowd again. In a way, I forgot that they've been bubbled and they've been playing in Dubai, and it's not quite been the IPL that everyone has known it for in the past couple of years. So I think that goes to show what he is like as a character, that he wants to give something back to the fans, because the CSK fans have been very, very loyal. They've had a couple of seasons where it's been very up or very down, but they always come back for more. And again, I think that just speaks volumes about MS Dhoni's character. Hopefully I'd get to meet him one day as well, because yeah, he's such a hero over here.
Thank you so much for your time. I think I have extended a little bit, but once again, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us, and all the very best for the upcoming Women's T20 Challenge. And there is a test match that's ahead, a lot of things that's coming up. So wish you all the very best for the next 8-10 months, and hopefully we can see you in LO next year.
Thank you so much for having me.